Good evening, everyone. This is the next episode of Let Us Talk Live. I've got four fantastic guests on tonight. As always, questions are always welcome. You can get and watch other lives from before on the YouTube channel, and that is mental health hashtag Let Us Talk. As always, thank you for everyone tuning in and supporting. I'll wait for people to come in, and then I will add our first guest. On Thursday at 8:30 we have a special again, and that is with Lee Curry. He was on a few weeks ago on a Monday night, but yeah, he didn't tell his full story because of that reason of coming on Thursday. So yeah, we're gonna have Lee Curry on at 8:30 on Thursday night. So I'm waiting for our guests to come in. As always, as I say, any questions are welcome about mental health within football or outside of football. And yeah, so I'll just wait for everyone to come in. So the four guests tonight, as advertised, are Ronnie from Sporting Club Thamesmead, Keith Bonus. Well, I'll also have PJ from the national six-a-side team from Nigeria, and also have who's the last one? I've lost the last one. I can't remember who he is, but yeah, it'll come to me in a minute. And Osman from five-a-side International FC, who I play for, and obviously he plays for SC Dons as well. Joe, I can't add you in. I've got a schedule. If you want to come on as a guest, I'm more than happy for you to come on. But it'll be another time. Just DM me, and we'll sort it out. So let me get the first guest on. If you've got any questions, Joe, or anyone else has got any questions, more than happy for them to come in. Let me get the first guest on. Here he is. Just waiting for it to connect. Just waiting. Peter, you've got to accept my request. If you accept my request, then I can get you on. I'm waiting for it to accept. I'll try again. It's probably not mine, Finnick, mate. He's coming from all the way from, he's in Greece, but so it's probably not mine. Let me re-add him in. Yeah, no, Peter is online. He needs to accept it. I'm requesting him, but he needs to accept it so he can come on the live. Right, I'll have to move on. Peter. Oh, here we go. Hopefully it works.
Yo,
Hello,
hey Jeremy,
how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good.
What's up, bro? How you doing? How's everything?
Yeah, not bad. Just getting by.
Yeah,
Hoping for all this to finish soon, and then we can
can't
start again.
wait, can't wait, I can't wait, man. It's really crazy, you know.
Of course.
It's really, you know, somehow. But anyways, how's it been? How's everything?
I'm okay. I'm okay. So, what I do first of all, I ask for people what don't know you. Obviously, introduce yourself. Let them know what you do, and also how we met.
Okay, hi guys, what's up? My name is PJ Peter, and I'm a football player for Nigerian 65 Soccer World Cup. I and Jimmy actually met at the just concluded International Soccer Federation at Greece, Crete precisely, where we had some super expert, like fantastic football war, you know, and it was awesome. I mean, we met you guys, you know, and met also Jamie, and you know, that's how we came across each other. And from there, it's been, you know, some good connections and good speaking, you know. So, Jimmy, man, thanks for the, you know, for the connection.
No,
And
of
yeah,
course. I'm more than happy for you to come on and have a chat with me.
thanks,
So,
man. I appreciate it.
so overall, first question, what does mental health mean to you?
Wow. Okay, so mental health actually, I could say for me, mental health is actually the mental state of the person, you know, so either positive or negative, and this can be actually seen on the physical outlook of a person, and so it can be easily detected, and or you can know if this person is actually in the right state of mind, you know, either in good condition or in a bad condition. And it could also include emotional and psychological or social well-being, and it will also affect how we think, how we feel and act, you know. And also I could say it also determines the way we relate with people and how we handle situations, and I mean how we generally uh, choose. It can affect how we choose. So there's some there's some stuff that could affect mental health or mental state the way I see it, and that could come from life experiences, family history, or career wise. You know, like for life experience, we could look at the traumas of life. You know, what happened, like or abuse. You know, but as regards football, I mean that's through the career wise. It could be that on on a situation whereby, like for me, I remember some some years back when I was going through this little, like should I say, like a major injury. All right, I felt, you know, I felt this fear, you know, that man, this was going to cost me a career, you know, and I was like, I have started developing various imaginations and thinking, and man, it really brought out some, you know, disorders. I couldn't think right, I couldn't think properly, not because I'm onto some stuff or something, but I mean, my physical condition kept me in a condition that won't allow me to think right. So it could cause me some mental stress, some fear of the unknown, you know. And truly, I think this discussion mental health should be thought often based on what it is. I mean, mostly to the men, you know. So I feel it has to be taught mostly to the men because true of the truth, men don't really show their emotions, okay? But I mean, at some point in time, there's some things that really eat deep into the male that they don't really speak. They just believe that I have to be strong. I have to do this. I have to just find a way to go about it. But really, if we can speak to some professionals or speak to those who are really ahead of us, I mean, we can we can try to find a way to handle such a situation, you know. So I mean, the mental health issue is really serious, bro.
So you just said obviously it's a very hard. in your mindset, and I think with a lot of people's mindset, obviously it's throughout the world. Mental health is big, but I feel from a lot of the guests, and maybe from your point of view, that it's hard for a man to open up to maybe within a football environment. Why do you
Yeah.
feel that is the case?
Sorry.
Why do you feel that may be the case? Not that men don't want to open up in a football environment.
I don't know. I sometimes some guys like men actually they want to find a way to just particular issues, without really consulting. But I don't think that is right. I don't think that is right. I think they have to find if it's in football, I think there should be a bond with the team or the culture or a player, someone who you can discuss your issues with because it can affect a player on the pitch. The person might lose some focus, lose some concentration, and inability to perform. Then steps in. So I just feel someone has to just find a way to just get someone to talk to. If not everybody, but a specific person. It could be your coach because your coach is the head, or it could be a professional like a doctors or just a team body.
So yeah, one of your teammates, I believe, or somebody from Nigeria, he just said, "I guess so. People don't say or think you are trying to make up excuses or so." Could that be what some of the reasons that people feel like you're making excuses to just bring up mental health?
Exactly, exactly. That's why I said like it's like a man ego, all right. It's like a man ego. You don't want to bring out that soft part of a man. So they'll say that you're a crybaby or you're weak. But hey, for me, I feel it's okay to cry if you want to cry. It's okay to express yourself. I mean, once in a while, but you should know how you're expressing it. So it shouldn't be like an excuse that because of this. No, 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 no. I find that like in football, I know what it is like. I think I've experienced a couple of, it took me some experienced people like my father, some my coaches, and a few friends of mine would discuss together. I try to open up and tell them what is actually going on with me in my head. I can't think straight, so it affects my game. So instead of me going to the crowd, like we have a team, and start saying, definitely, everyone has different opinion. They'll say, oh, he's trying to make an excuse. He's trying to make an excuse for this and that. No. But if you can find the one right person or the just two right people who can put you on track, then I mean, nobody's going to say something like you giving an excuse because you're able to free up yourself to people who you pay attention to, you know. So that's it.
Yeah, so Henry's just come into the chat. Said hello, Jamie and PJ.
Hey, hi, Coco.
So yeah, no. So obviously, do you feel it's very important for somebody who may be struggling with mental health to find the right people to obviously talk to and to be able to open up to? Otherwise, they may not be able to open up.
Also, yeah, that is the right. I think that is just the right remedy because a whole lot of this it could lead into the depression state. I mean, depression state is actually a state whereby you as a human being, there's something about the mind. There's actually I was discussing with my dad, and we were just talking at length. And there was a time in 2 weeks or thereabout, I was actually in the right frame of mind. And my father said to me, like, do you know what it calls soundness of mind? I said yes. So he said that if the mind is not sound, the brain can be affected. Like the mind controls your emotions. So therefore, what I think in my mind has to be projected to my brain. So if my mind is not sound, I mean I can't think right, and whatever actions I take could be legal or illegal. That's why you see most people because they are not sound inside. There's no self peace. There is no happiness. There's no joy within. You see most actions that you see on the physical comes from what their mind has already been projected to do, and therefore it could lead them to doing something illegal, something bad, something harmful to them. you know,
Mm,
it affects their whole physical being in general. You know, it all
mm.
starts from inside. It all starts from inside, and definitely the state of mind has to do with your calmness of mind. You know, if there's no calmness, man, sorry, your mind is your is messed up.
Yeah. How do you feel people in the world, especially after now, obviously with the virus and lockdown, etc., that people's mental health may be struggling? How do you feel going forward that people can help with mental health, maybe with projects or something like that? How do you feel people should go about helping with mental health now?
Obviously, man, I can tell you that according to right now, whatever is happening in the world is due to mental stress. Trust me. Everyone is being tired. It's everyone is stressed out. Like, what next? So the best thing I think we should just do is just to spread love. You know, if there's love around, trust me, Jamie. I mean, we'll go to check up on the next person. Hey, are you okay? Is everything fine? Is your family all right? I mean, but if you come to the African settings, I mean, there's a whole lot in the African situation right now. I mean, there is hunger, there's poverty, there is a whole lot. So this is the right time to actually check up on our brothers and sisters and families and friends and relations and the boy next door. You understand?
Hmm.
Just to show love, just to show a bit of concern, you know, that they shouldn't get it all worked up in their head. Rather, if there is any situation, they could just meet up with someone and discuss it and find a way to just, you know, be of a helping hand. So in general, I think what the world really needs right now is really peace and love. You know, just love. You know.
Yeah. Do you feel that with mental health, it would help if we spoke to younger generation? So in education, do you feel it should be a little bit better?
Yes, I think that should just be what it is because the younger generations now are like the next generation to take over, and based on how it is in this world, I mean, information is vital, and every young person has to get every information necessary to stay alert, to stay on, and to keep going. So it's very vital that the mental health should be taught from the grassroots, from the baby to the adulthood, and that's it. In that way, people who are going to develop a certain mindset, you know, and how to guide their and how to guide their mental state when it comes to some situations. And yeah, if experts can actually give uh, some lectures and give people the right tools and the right keys to live and also know when their mental health is getting edgy, then people will be able to fight it and people will be able to, you know, live on.
100%. Last question before I move on to the next guest, PJ.
Okay.
So, what's your overall message going forward with mental health and in the world? How do you feel people can help if there is people struggling around you, or if you're struggling in general? What do you feel they should do?
Firstly, I think if you're struggling with some mental issues or some mental illness, I think the first thing you should do is look for someone elderly, someone who has lived in that age and gone past it. It could be your grandfather, your mother, or if it's in the football world, it could be your coach, some elder persons, or you could just look for professionals like the doctors, you know, or someone who you feel like if you speak or if he speaks to you, you would definitely listen. I mean, in that way, he's going to be able to speak you out and speak positive into you because most things really affecting people is just the negative. If we can find, for example, those who speak positive to us every time, I mean, that gives us some bit of confidence within that. Yes, I can do this thing. So most people facing such issues is because of there is a breakdown somewhere. They can't speak, so they need someone to touch that soft spot that's going to relieve them of whatever it is and then give them that freeness because if they can't breathe. I mean, so that's just what it is. I mean, you just have to find someone to speak Two, just find someone to speak. If you don't speak, man, you're killing yourself. You just have to speak up for someone to know what exactly is the problem. And again, your environment matters a lot. Your environment, wherever you find yourself, you have to find yourself around positive people only. And so I just feel that is one big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, Royal Kid said again, one thing I really like you talked about is the fact that environmentally situations can
situations.
affect one's mental health.
Definitely, 100%. It can affect one's mental health, really. Uh, the environment, like I said before, the environment you are negative or positive will determine your outcome. All right. So if you're in a positive environment, you're always thinking positive. So it's going to be very, very, very difficult to think the negative. Yeah, it may come as a life challenge, but based on your environment, you'll be able to overrun it. But if you're in a negative environment, trust me, it could lead to depression in some certain point if there is no way out for such person. So that's what from my own experience and point of view. Yeah.
100%. Thank you very much for coming on, PJ. We'll
Thank
catch
you,
up real
Jamie.
soon. Keep
Yeah.
safe. And obviously, hopefully, we're back to doing what we like
Of
and love six
course.
aside soon.
Of course, of
Thank you
course.
very
Chelsea,
much, Peter.
Chelsea Nigerian team, Chelsea Jamie.
Thank you,
Thanks.
mate. Cheers. Bye
All
bye.
right. You're welcome.
So that's PJ Peter from the Nigerian national six-a-side team. Very informative chat. Really like that. So Coco said, I think we need to look out for those around us. 100%. Thank you, obviously, for PJ coming on from Greece. He's actually in Greece at the moment. And it's like 10 or 11 o'clock there at the moment. So thank you for coming on, Peter. And obviously the other people from the Nigerian national team coming on and supporting this as well. So thank you very much. Hopefully stick around for the other guests. Anyone's got any questions, they are welcome to every single person who's coming on. Let me get this next guest on, and then it also is more informative as well, and it helps me not answer the same questions over and over again. So hopefully the next person we can get on this week, because last week we checked it earlier and it worked, so hopefully it's still working now. Yes, it is. Hello, mate.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah,
Ron?
good. Yeah, good. But you all right though?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Good. So obviously, for the people that don't know you, um, which is probably not a lot of people, everyone knows of you, probably. So Ronnie's saying top coach and what a gent. Ems has just turned around and said hi, Jamie, and hi, Keith.
I am.
Yeah, Matty Reader's on here as well. He's just turned around and said top coach. So yeah, for most people probably know you, but for the people that don't know you, obviously let them know who you are, how we met, and what you're doing.
The last one's too many to mention. Keith Bonus, grand old age of 61, and we met a long, long time ago when you were at Charlton, I do believe. Obviously doing your first coaching steps.
Yeah.
And kind of stayed in touch in one way, shape, or form ever since. Even though I've been on quite a long journey as well as yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, some strange times. Right now, I'm in various different roles. I still work for the FA as a tutor on the B licenses in Kent. I'm a mentor for the BAME group between the B and the A license with the FA. Coach, development manager at Palace for Life Foundation. Been helping back out down at Charlton for a little while just before COVID with the women's side. Obviously going back in time a little bit there. And working as alongside Peter Adonai at Carshalton Athletic for the last 2 seasons. Great guy, really enjoyed working there. Obviously in the Isthmian Premier. Would have been in the playoffs this year, I do believe, and didn't quite get there because of COVID. So a bit of a tough time there. So yeah, I'm here, there, and everywhere, bouncing around like I always have done. That's my life.
Yeah, so obviously, first question, Keith. How do you see, and what do you think mental health is?
From my long experience, and it's interesting listening to some of your other guests the last couple of weeks. It covers a multitude of things for me, Jay, inside and outside of the game. Obviously, I've worked as a safeguarding tutor as well. And I've had people come up to me and make disclosures about abusive situations. So mental health can be linked to so many things, simple and deeper. A lot of abusive situations lead to real serious mental health problems, and there's obviously there's not such thing as a lesser one, but maybe ones that are caused by the more simpler things of stress and anxiety inside the game, the disappointments that you face as a player and a coach. Outside the game, just general things in life that can go wrong. And again, I'm normally the go-to person, but I've experienced it myself, which kind of makes it easier to deal with questions when people do come to me. I had a young cousin who was abused at the age of 10. When he was 18, he found he had thoughts on his sexuality, and when he came out, the reaction wasn't good, and he actually did commit suicide. And I had a young lad in one of the pubs, because when I quit playing originally, I did have a couple of pubs down the Old Kent Road, down that neck of the woods. And I had a young player in there, a young lad in there, 18-year-old. He literally, I remember back then, because this is a long time ago, was walking around the pub telling everybody he was going to commit suicide, and everyone was going, yeah, all right. And he did. So again, no one took him seriously at that point. And I think that's one of the things that's changed now. People are starting to take it seriously. And I've always taken it seriously, but those early lessons for me taught me that you have to do that. And obviously I've learned over the years to recognise signs. And I've had one or two dark moments myself. And, I'm not overly proud to say that I've had 3 marriages. And in between one of those, I sat with a bottle of scotch and a bottle of paracetamol one night. And I came very, very close. And it was only a phone call from my sister. So, not a lot of people know that. But I'm happy to share it because of what you're trying to do here. And I think it's fair to say it's not a sympathy call. It's just a fact. It happened. But again, now I'm really kind of chuffed to see the sort of stuff you're doing and the way it's looking up. So yeah.
And thanks for them comments, obviously, and opening up a little bit about it as well. And that's the idea. If some person like you, who's so respected in non-league and in national football through the women's game and everything like that, if you can open up and say, look, I've had a little bit of a struggle, hopefully it helps everyone who's hopefully watching tonight or watching it another time can say, oh, wait a minute, if he's opening up, then I can open up as well. And that was the whole reason why I was doing this platform, just even if it helped one person, you know what I mean?
Yeah, pray God, Jay. I mean, you can't, you also need to open up. You need to be able to trust somebody. And so that's about the relationships around you. But it is now, I think, for everybody to be more observant, especially in this current climate, even more so. And it's gone crazy in the last few months.
Yeah.
There are loads and loads of hidden issues right now, I think, and they're going to come out more and more as we're coming out of it, however long that takes. I think there's going to be, you heard today, there's going to be masses of redundancies even at the FA. I've seen that publicly announced today.
Yeah.
In my own organisation, there's been people made redundant who were in jobs for 8-9 years, and they've been made redundant due to COVID, and their lives are shattered. So, you can call them, they're saying they're okay, but are they okay?
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be thousands and thousands of people affected by this. So if you're close to anybody that you think might be, then keep an eye on them and be there for them. It's not a case of going charging in like a wounded rhino and saying, hey, I think you're going crazy, I think you're having problems. You can't go and plant that seed, but always make sure that they know that you're there for them if you need them, if they need you, and vice versa, of course. So,
Yeah, sorry. Elite Development FC said hi, Keith.
All right, mate.
Yeah.
Anthony.
M's Terman said 100%. Love your honesty, Keith. It's amazing. Henry turned around and said from the Nigerian Six-a-Side Federation, he said very deep coach, Keith. Ronnie turned around and said, fair play, Keith. Respect it for you opening up like that. Tough stories, but great honesty as always. PJ, who's just been on, some all some awesome Jamie for this topic. Top up coach. Hope we have more people facing such situation. Open up and trust someone to look out for each other. Yeah, so you've got lots of obviously thank you for opening up and coming on. Elite Development have just said, hi Keith, what can we do with the younger generation of footballers who put too much pressure on themselves to be the next best thing, as this affects their well-being from a young age?
The key word, I think, in everything at the moment is education. I just did I'm part of a group on Facebook called the 101 Club, which discusses a question every week. And it was talking about what can be taught in schools right now that currently isn't. And there isn't enough education on this, and educating children how to be and how to talk to people, how to listen to people, how to speak to people younger than you, how to speak to people older than you, how to build relationships, the right type of relationships. So education is key. With the young players, obviously I've worked with Elite for a little bit. I did a few sessions for them. And they've got a lot of kids there. They're doing a fantastic job down in the Croydon area. Absolutely fantastic job. But, you know, a lot of that pressure in kids' heads and those ideas in kids' heads come from peers. If they come from adults, it comes from parents, it comes from relatives, it comes from siblings. And we've all got a responsibility to understand the real world and the reality of a young player making it to the highest level, and the percentages of that. Everybody knows it's not teaching anybody to suck eggs on here. It's the percentage is ridiculous. So
100%.
keeping it real, keeping everybody in life in perspective, and getting them to understand the education processes that are relative to it. And obviously, I've been involved at all levels, from grassroots to pro to disabilities, and I've seen so many dreams shattered. But again, and I've seen the wrong type of the older generation, how they deal with the kids, and I've seen good people, and I've been involved with some great people. You know, a lot of it is down to us, the experienced people, the adults that guide the kids. And you know, there's all the videos that came out, the Ray Winston one, the stuff the FA brought out, the respect stuff. But it is a reality. You can still walk around now on a Sunday morning or a Saturday afternoon and hear parents screaming and shouting, and they're arguing more on the side of the pitch. You know, movies like The Football Factory with the two fighting at the youth team. That's a reality. It still happens, and that's scary. And it's us that put the kids under pressure, not the kids themselves. So we've got a lot of responsibilities at all levels, and the key word is education. Get yourself, you know, and I'm not saying it means you've got to go and do all your badges, because that's not where you learn everything. But there are other programs now, like I shared one last week. With UK coaching, there are lots of educational resources now on mental health itself. And a lot of it's online. You haven't got to go and sit in a classroom if you don't want to, but start somewhere. So start educating ourselves on how to deal with that. And again, recognising when you can see children are being put under pressure, and find a way of trying to alleviate that. There's no perfect answer. I wish there was. But it is down to us as the older generation and the adults. And that could be a 25-year-old dad. But I mean that with a 10-year-old son or daughter.
Yeah.
You know, what are you saying to them? What are you saying to them before they go training? What are you saying to them on match day? What are you filling their head with? You know, they're not a meal ticket. You know, let them be kids. I know it's been saying for years. It's a cliche, but let them be kids first.
Yeah.
Let them be kids first. Let them grow up. You know, my dad never
let them
ever told
enjoy
me.
it.
My dad never ever told me I would be a pro, and I wasn't a bad player, and I had chances. But I was out in the street 10, 12 hours a day kicking the ball around in the street, which obviously can't happen so much easily now. And in that respect, I'm kind of glad I grew up when I did. But it seems to have got worse, and I don't know if that's because the high level of the game is now so financially affluent. But one young lad that I've definitely had involvement with from afar is Jadon Sancho, because his dad Sean used to play for me back at the Huntsman years ago in the youth teams, and he's kind of phoned me and said, "Oh, he's got a chance to go to Watford or Man City when he was a kid." And I said, "Go to Watford; he'll have a better opportunity there of learning in a different type of environment." Then it was, "Oh, he can go to City." And I said, "Okay, let him go to City." Then the last call I had with Sean was he's been offered to go to Germany or stay in the City's 23s, go Stuttgart or Dortmund. I said, "Go Dortmund." And the latest phone call, which was a few months ago now, was Man United. I said, "Yeah, get to Man United because they need help." But whether he's going to take that one or not, but he's stayed quite grounded, and his dad's got a lot to do with that. So yes, he's reached massive peaks very quickly, but he's always stayed grounded. That's because he's had good parental support and advice, and that's the key word: support them. Don't push, punish, pressure. Support them. Let them find their way.
Definitely. Paul Cook just said, Keith, exactly. I think the youngsters need to enjoy the game and have social bonds between people. This will help them when they are older if they want to progress to become elite players.
Totally agree. I mean, we can talk about the FA four-corner model. If you look at Chris Ramsey's model, he goes more for combining the psychosocial side of it. And again, I've done some work recently with the guy that's been on with you, the Sack with Orange Ball,
Yeah.
about, the mentality for football is maybe slightly different, but the psychosocial element is key, especially with younger people. And even if you're trying to produce an elite performer, the use of elite, it's got to be really careful with that word. What is elite? Are you providing an elite environment, or are you just saying the title? Is it a title? So if you're using that word in any context, you need to be making sure you're providing an elite environment. That doesn't guarantee that you've got elite performers, but you're providing an elite environment where maybe they can develop. And that's the job of all the academies and all the clubs, to provide an elite environment. Even that doesn't guarantee that they're going to become that one, which is why there's so many programs now regarding their welfare and their education. This is so important. And I've worked in a program where, especially with the girls' side of it, where they've gone out to the States on scholarships. That's becoming bigger with the boys now, the post-16 boys. It's becoming a bigger option now. For me, it's a fantastic option. 2 to 4 year scholarship. You can still come back. You can still come back and be that great player. If you haven't clicked here, that's another opportunity to go and be educated at the highest level, train at the highest level, and in front of big crowds. And with the MLS growing now, there's opportunities there as well. But I think what the advice I give to young players now is look outside. Honestly, look outside of England, look outside of the UK. Don't be scared to go overseas. Don't be scared to look at Scandinavia. Open up your horizons, if you like, and broaden where you might go and do that.
Yeah, you touched on it earlier, obviously, that the stereotype or the stigma may have got better, but from when maybe you was coaching, obviously, in non-league and around the women's game, do you feel it's harder for men or the stereotype is harder for men to open up than what it was for the women's game, maybe? Or do you feel it is even, but people just don't see it as that way?
I think it's like anything with the male ego. It's that you're scared to look weak, whereas a female player isn't scared to show her emotions. And I've experienced both. And again, even in the recent years, there's been a young girl I've been involved with in a coaching capacity, that she was a coach, and I found out that she was in trouble. She'd self-harmed, and but a brilliant coach and a really cracking player. And I there was no real reasoning for it, but you don't know what's going on in the background. You don't know what's going on in their lives, and a lot of people even in those situations outside of the game, football's their escape sometimes. And again, that's where us as coaches, we've got a responsibility to recognise some of those signs. And even the fact that you've got a player like that, certainly in the male game, you probably never see it. But the fact that you're not selecting them, or they're off form, or all of a sudden, they've started turning up late at training. So you're going to probably punish them for that without finding out really why is that happening? Why is their form dropped? Why are they not turning up? It's not just because they're lazy. It's not just because they can't be bothered. It could be a multitude of things. So do your due diligence and see if you can find out a little bit more. Don't just punish them, leave them out the squad, drop them. It's about caring. And I think some people have seen it as a weakness in me that I've cared about every single player I've ever coached. And that's even if I've had to drop them, even if I've had to leave them out.
Yeah.
I've felt that pain. I've felt that pressure. But I've never stopped caring about them, and I'm still in touch to a point with a high majority of the players and a lot of the coaches I've worked with, if not on a daily basis, on a weekly or a monthly, or even if it's just once and again in a year. And people are always tapping, and that somebody said earlier, and Peter said earlier, sometimes it's just about one message: "How you doing, mate? How you doing?" But the male side of it, of course, it's the ego. It's anything. When a male's got to disclose anything, you're always thinking, am I going to look like a weakling? Am I going to be a wuss? Is everyone going to take the piss out of me? And it's a fear factor, and you can't let that happen anymore. But again, you're not going to change everybody. So it's up again to us to kind of start educating ourselves, and like I said, try and recognise those symptoms.
Yeah. How do you feel? Obviously, from you've coached a lot of players over the years, and still mentor obviously coaches and managers and that through the game and that now at all different levels. But from the top, I spoke to somebody like Kevin George the other week about it, and he's obviously wrote a book about it.
Yeah, the book's good. Yeah.
And obviously he goes into pro clubs and speaks to academy players and everything like that. But how do you feel it can be better going down? So obviously at the top level we do have that, you know what I mean? But going into maybe grassroots levels and non-league level and women's football and stuff like that, how do you feel we can, or what can be done to make it a bigger thing for people to have help in that stage?
Well, I just said to you, there are courses now. I see no reason why it can't be a workshop integrated into the coaching courses. The same way that safeguarding has been, emergency first aid has been. Well, mental health is a key point. We don't talk about that when we're doing the emergency aid sessions or even the basic treatment. We don't talk about mental health. So there's no reason why it couldn't be a 2 or 3 hour workshop that's a compulsory part of the coaching badges. That would be a kickstart. And again, then, if we train people to deliver that, which there are 1 or 2 of I think the county coaches are now involved in some of that. Don't quote me on that, but I'm fairly sure I know the CCB in Kent has delivered some workshops that, then grassroots clubs have then got to be encouraged and be open to receive those people to come in and maybe work with their parents and their coaches, and maybe a different type of workshop for the players themselves. And openly discuss at the right level. Obviously you have to be careful. But I think that would be a good way of kickstarting everything, to start adding that part of education in. And if I was a grassroots club now, and a lot of grassroots clubs are kind of bigger than people realise, they can have anything from 6 to 10 to 20 teams. That's a lot of kids and a lot of coaches. So the people that run those have got to think, this is a serious issue now, and it could be serious, and maybe I'm going to seek advice, and maybe I'm going to ask somebody to come in and discuss. And certainly, I'm not saying it's part of my role, but this coach development role at the foundation is, I'm allowed to be open to go to grassroots clubs to do coaching sessions. But there's no reason I couldn't go out and discuss these kind of issues as well. Certainly, I would be happy to do that with the adults. With the children, I'd want to be trained to know what I can and can't say. I could guess it, And I probably wouldn't be far wrong, but I'd want to be very, very certain what I can and can't talk about with young people. But certainly with the adults and the coaches and the parents, I think there must be a very simple way of saying, hey, can we all start paying attention to this? And it's a tough one, Jay, isn't it? Because you don't want to start planting seeds that maybe aren't there, and then people start seeing things that aren't happening. But I'd rather that than don't see it at all.
Yeah, obviously we touched on it at the lower age with grassroots. Say in non-league football, do you feel a lot of managers or coaches are not educated on it, or they're not worried about getting educated on it because it's just a results business, and they're not worried what their players' mental health may be, but that may affect their performances as well. So should it come in hand, that it's not just worried about physical performance, it should be about your mental well-being as well, because that will affect obviously your physical performance.
100%, Jay, and I've seen both sides of the coin. You know, I'm lucky enough to be working with a guy that, again, for me, cares about every single player and is very, very conscious of that. But I've seen, the win at all costs guys on the touch lines, and but the players themselves, you've got to think about it. They're not pros, so you can say the pressure that the pros are under, but most of the pros are not under that pressure financially. People in non-league can rely on that, whether it's 25 quid, whether it's 100 quid, whether it's 200 quid. They could be relying on that to put towards their bills, their mortgage. And again, if they're not contracted, and they're not in the squad, they don't get paid, they don't get, and they're under those kind of pressures. And of course, a lot of them are players that still have aspirations of being a pro, or they've been released from the pro game, so they're overcoming that disappointment as well. And you've got to try and snap them out of that and say, you can still enjoy this. And there's so many different, again, factors. And I'm going to tempt Providence here and just say that, and if there's any listening, I certainly don't mean it personally, but some of the agents involved, again, are filling youngsters' heads full of crap, even at non-league level. And again, they've got a big responsibility as well, not to make promises that they can't keep. And I think that's happening in certain areas. And I don't mean that for any of the, I know some really good agents, but it seems there's a lot of people jumping into that game now, thinking it's some way of making a living. But so we're seeing it. We're seeing it at non-league level. I'm seeing it in the women's game, even though I'm not deep into the women's game at the moment again yet, but I'm still seeing it. And I saw it when I was at Watford briefly. Agents phoning me demanding X amount of money per month for a player. And, I just said to the player, do you want to play for us or not? And the player said, yes. I said, well, then tell your agent where to go. I said, because I'm not paying that money. We can't afford it. And I think now, coming out of this, clubs are not going to have money. They're not. So players come in now, whether the players demand money or whether their agents told them to demand it, some of the players are going to have to step up and say, I need to put my sensible head on here. For the agent to back off a little bit, because I just need to play. Because some clubs are going to, for me, some clubs are in danger of going under.
100%.
Once all the finances kick in and what's got to be paid out. So there's a lot to be concerned about in the near future.
Last question, Keith, and then I'll move on to the next person. It's been a great chat. But what do you feel going forward that everyone can do to help with somebody maybe struggling with mental health, or if you're struggling with mental health, what's your advice for them going forward?
Just be a good listener. Pay attention. Be observant. Be a good listener. And don't think you've got all the answers. Don't start just spewing out a load of what you think might be the answers. The best thing to do is to listen and just reassure them that you'll be there for them. If they need that chat, they need someone to even to shout at, if you like, and even just to spin off on, then say, okay, I'll be that person for you. And, me personally, I've done research and I know the organisations I can guide people to. And again, that's another way, if you really want to educate yourself, find out there's loads of organisations for young people, for older people, for people that have been in that situation. Find out who they are, and you can normally link people to those organisations if you really think they need that, but they've got to be willing to work with you to do that as well. But just be an ear, be a shoulder, and don't ever stop.
Yeah, Keith, thank you very much, mate. That's a top chat tonight. And thank you for opening up as well
No
with
problem, mate.
some of your things, what's gone on in the past as well. Thank you very much for that. Sorry, just before you go, I missed the Beckham Academy days being trained by Keith and Pete. Great times. That's from Matty Reader.
Yeah, it's an interesting question there. How does a player know who to trust? There was an
Yeah.
interesting one just there. Get to know them. Get to know them. It works a two-way thing. Don't just assume that you can trust them.
No,
Get to
it
know them.
is.
Get
Yeah,
to know them.
100%. Yeah, and that's the main message really. You got to get to know somebody. They've got to trust you to open up as well, and that person's got to find the right person to who they can trust as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you very much, Keith.
All right,
Keep
man.
safe, and hopefully we'll have a good chat again soon.
Yeah, anytime, mate. You take care of yourself and see you around when this is all over, I hope. All right.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Thank
Take
you.
care now, mate. All the best.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
See you later, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. That was Keith Bonus. Real mentor when I was younger as well with the coaching and that. I forgot to mention that, but top guy. Great insight into to mental health and some of his experiences. Thanks for opening up as well. It's coming up to an hour, so I'm going to cut off this bit now. I'm going to be back on literally in 2 minutes' time for the last two guests. Make sure everyone comes back on. Um, two great guests so far, but I'll be back in 2 minutes for the last two guests. See you in a sec.